We're going to go over some system basics for Part-Time Gods 2nd edition. Hey everybody, welcome to Third Eye Games. I'm Eloy, and I am the creator of Part-Time Gods 2nd edition. I actually get a lot of people who ask, hey, that sounds really cool, but what's the system like? And today, I'm going to go over some of the system basics for you so you understand a little bit about what it takes to play this game. Before I jump into that, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification so you always know when we release new videos. So the system that Part-Time Gods 2nd edition uses is called the Chakra System. It was originally designed for the Ninja Crusade 2nd edition, however, it's been modified to an amazing degree to work for modern day campaigns, especially those that want to use this setting in a divine sense. In Part-Time Gods, you're playing normal people who have become gods, so you do have two different sets of abilities. You have your skills, which are largely your mundane understanding and education, but then you also have manifestations, which are your divine skills. Manifestations we're going to cover in another video. Today we're going to just talk about what does it feel to be a player at the table and how to use your dice. First off, let's talk about what your play space should look like when you are a player. You're going to have your character sheet. That's going to obviously have all the information for your character, all of your numbers, everything. Secondly, you should probably have 6 to 10 dice that are just for you. And of course, this game uses D10s. Thirdly, you're going to have 2 different stacks of tokens of 2 different colors. One will represent your character's wealth, the other will represent your character's free time. In the middle of the table as well, you're going to have a collection of dice that is the Pantheon Pool. Any player can pull dice from this pool in order to fuel powers or just to get bonus dice to roll, as long as everybody at the rest of the table agrees. It is a shared pool, and many people will have abilities that will add to that pool and take away from that pool. Getting into your individual character, the first thing I want to touch on is blessings and curses. Your blessings are your advantages for your character, whereas your curses are your drawbacks. Pretty easy. Blessings come in a couple of different varieties, however. One is just a standard bonus to a certain type of role. Maybe your character is a hacker. Well, then you'll get an additional die if you're hacking something. Pretty simple. The other kind is ones that allow you to sacrifice Pantheon dice or do something special in certain circumstances. For instance, there's an ability called Disrupt the System, which allows you to sacrifice Pantheon dice to give your opponent penalties to their dice pool. Curses, however, are storytelling elements that you as a player can activate in order to add more dice to the Pantheon pool. The GM can activate it as well, but it's really more fun if the players get really into it. And adding dice to the Pantheon pool helps everybody at the table, even if it's at the expense of you kind of taking it on the chin. It adds a lot of drama and suspense to the storytelling. So how do you roll dice? Well, the first thing you're going to do is figure out what it is you're trying to do. There is no standard dice pool for anything, but normally it requires 2 skills, one for the thing you're doing and another to kind of color how you're doing it. So for instance, if you were sneaking around in a forest, that would be stealth as the primary skill with survival as the secondary skill. You are sneaking in the forest, so those 2 together. So if we take one of the sample characters in the book, in this case, I'll take Sawyer. Sawyer has Stealth 3 and Survival 2, which would mean Sawyer's player would roll 5 dice. Sawyer herself doesn't have anything that's going to help her be more stealthy in a forest, so we would just go with the straight 5 dice. Any result that is a 7 or higher is a success. Any 10s count as 2 successes. So if we take this roll, you'll notice that the 8 and the 9 would be successes. This would be 2 successes for Sawyer. You'll notice that the 1 rolled does not take away from the total number of successes. A failure is if you get no successes. A critical failure happens when you get no successes and also roll 1s. But otherwise, the 1s don't affect your roll, as long as you have successes. Of course, if you were to take a different signature character such as Adrian, who has 1 in stealth and 0 in survival, only giving her 1 die, the chances of her succeeding of sneaking around in the forest are much lower. However, there are ways to gain additional dice to your roll. The first one, obviously, is to pull from the Pantheon Pool. If everybody at the table is okay with you pulling additional dice, go for it. Secondly, you can spend some of your free time to gain a +2 bonus for each one spent. Obviously, running out of free time has its own effects, and we'll cover that in another video. But these are different ways that you can gain additional bonus dice. The third way is you can spend what is called a fragment. It's a piece of your divine soul. And this adds 3 successes. Note that I didn't say 3 dice. It adds 3 successes to a standard skill roll, essentially ensuring that you're going to be successful. Difficulties range from 0 to 5, so having 3 successes on something is really, really good. And just as a note, dice from the Pantheon Pool can also be sacrificed in order to change the scene, add story elements, lay traps, and allow the Pantheon to work in concert with each other. Teamwork is actually a big deal in Part-Time Gods, so I do want to touch on that. In our system, we call it support. 2 people can perform an act, helping each other out pretty easily. But you can sacrifice dice from the Pantheon Pool and add 1 additional person to the mix for each one sacrificed. That means that if you are trying to sneak in the wilderness, 1 character can take stealth and the other one can take survival. Essentially, each one composing one of the skills in the combo. But by sacrificing a Pantheon die, someone else can add their perception and say, oh, well, I'm helping keep lookout so that we can sneak even better. Somebody else might even be able to add in knowledge, saying that they know the area really well, so they're going to add in their knowledge dice. Obviously, you're sacrificing Pantheon dice in the process, but this can make sure that you can work as a team and be overall successful. So those are just a few of the different basic mechanics in Part-Time Gods 2nd Edition. Obviously, if you have questions about any other mechanics, let me know down in the comments. I am going to also be making a video for advanced mechanics, so stay tuned for that one. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification so you know when that next video goes up. Otherwise, thank you for coming to Third Eye Games, opening your third eye to gaming.